Hello, this is Postman Pixie, and I'm back with another Netflix horror fix. Today we are looking at Alter. Now, I said in the last one that I never heard of this, and it had no description on Netflix or anything like that. All of that was a lie. Not only does it actually have a thing on Netflix, which hadn't loaded, presumably, I've actually seen this before, which probably tells you a little bit about how memorable this film is. It is not particularly memorable. It's a fairly standard supernatural horror situation, people moving into a haunted house. Okay, in this case they're moving in to do it up to sell it for someone else, but rather than moving in to actually live there. But we have seen that before. I instantly started thinking of the remake of Don't Be Afraid of the Dark, the Del Toro produced movie, which I actually really enjoy, right down to the fact that in both films they're restoring a house that previously belonged to an artist, and this artist, like the one in Don't Be Afraid of the Dark, has done something unpleasant and either died or gone missing, or actually I can't remember exactly what they said had happened to him, but this is slightly no, I don't know what I was about to say. It was slightly, but it's set in Yorkshire, which means we get some lovely, admittedly filtered to look very, very grey views of sort of the Yorkshire Dales and whatever, which is very nice. There's a long soliloquy at one point about, it's not really a soliloquy, but because there's two people in the place at the time. That's not a soliloquy, is it? Soliloquy has to be on its own. Dialogue, that's the word I'm looking for, oh dear. About Yorkshire Stone, and what do you know about Yorkshire Stone? I don't really know enough about architecture to tell you whether or not Yorkshire Stone is particularly special, but again. So yes, this family move in. There's a mother, two children, boy and a girl, and the father. And, they're starting to do the things up. The father, who's an artist, starts to go a little bit doolally. It's always the father that does that, isn't it? Why is it always the father that goes mad and the mum who notices the things that are causing them crazy? I don't know. And the two children suffer various creepiness. One, that the little boy, I say little boy, is probably 12 or something, suffers with bad nightmares and that sort of thing. Standard sort of stuff, he starts screaming and they can't open the door, and they're saying open the door, but they can't open the door. They find secret rooms that have been boarded up. One of these secret rooms has a very impressive mosaic on the floor, which is vaguely alchemical Rosicrucian stuff that appears to be some sort of altar where something very bad happens, possibly human sacrifice. I couldn't quite work that out. I know a bit about alchemy. I know not so much about the Rosicrucians, but I'm not sure they were particularly into killing people. But horror movie, we've got what we got. So yeah, it's everything about it reminds me of other things. It's very much. I didn't feel like this was a film that somebody was dying to make. This was, we got some money from Film Yorkshire, or I can't remember who it was. Some Yorkshire film producing company had clearly given them some money, and they thought, let's make a horror movie. Everything in it feels very much derivative, with the exception of a couple of things which I'll talk about in a minute. So yeah, it's sort of that Sorry, excuse me, I'm getting a bit of a cold, so hang on, I'm just gonna have a drink or something. Short slap. Oh, that's better. Excuse me while I disappear out of frame. There we go. Yeah, so sorry when the camera knocks around like this. And I'm right at this minute I've got it propped up on the bed, which is probably not the most stable thing, so whenever I lean or move my legs, it all does, yeah. Oh, there we go. What am I doing? Oh dear. This is like the least professional YouTube video known to man. So, yeah, where are we? Yeah. The altar, there's no the, no definite article, it's just altar. Everything about it reminds me of other things. There's shots that very much remind me of The Shining. There's a shot where the lad is driving a little remote control car down a corridor, and I'll be following behind the car, and they come up against two people who are talking about spooky stuff, and it's not quite, you know, Danny and his tricycle riding down the corridor and bumping into the two twins, but there's definite feeling of that there. The ghosts that appear, one reminds me very much of, again, Del Toro, El Elefanto, the orphanage. I won't spoil why, but if you've seen El Elefanto and you watch this, yeah, I mean, if you've seen both and you agree with me, let me know in the comments down here. I'd like to know I'm not alone. So yeah, the vast majority of this was very, I don't want to say uninteresting, but this is not a bad movie, it's just not particularly inspired. There's one or two shots that are kind of ideas that are kind of interesting. The main bit is, the one that really stood out to me was, there's a sequence late on where everything's gone a bit mad, and sorry, excuse me, I spoke too much and I'm getting a cold. This is a bad combination, so if I'm sniffing and anything like that, I really apologise. So where are we? Yes, the one effect that I quite enjoyed, sequence later on where mother is trying to get children away from the house, and maybe possibly away from the father, who has clearly become kind of possessed. And the children, you know, are running away from something, and they get into the car, and an unseen force starts tracing symbols onto the windows of the car from the outside, apparently in blood, at least in red stuff. And for a couple of shots that was really impressive, and it's not something I've seen before. I don't think, I can't think of anything that did that with the car windows, and there's something enjoyably occult about these sort of sigils appearing on there, and there's also something weirdly childlike, you know, the sort of tracing on windows, which was kind of cool. Unfortunately, they showed slightly too much of it. It moved from one shot within the car to a couple of shots from the outside, and then the illusion really fell apart because you could easily see that this was CG, and that kind of killed it for me. Pro tip, I'm clearly not a film producer myself, but if you're doing an effect, don't leave it on too long. Don't let it be lit too well either, because the longer the eye has to look at the image, the easier it is to pick apart what it is, how it's been done. which can really ruin the illusion. So if you're making a horror movie or a movie with effects in it, don't overdo it. Have a good mixture of the different things. So, you know, the movies that do effects really well, you know, your Jurassic Parks, your 2001s, you know, American Werewolf, will use an awful lot of different things to do, even a short sequence. Yes, it's time consuming, and I know coming from me that's probably kind of hypocritical, because I am so lazy with these videos, as you can probably see. Yeah, this Alter is a good example of why you shouldn't rely too much on one effect for an extended sequence, because sorry, my nose is gone. Showing that sigil effects for slightly too long kind of killed how cool the original couple of shots were. So don't do that. Other than that, I'm just having a quick browse at my notes, because yeah, not bad, but very standard. Another thing that really sort of took me out of the experience was the amount of Apple product placement. I mean, yes, the mother is supposed to be a designer, and Macs are pretty good for that, but she has a Mac, she has an iPad, the girl has a iPod, the mother also has an iPhone. It's like, how many Apple products can you get in this one house that is, you know, only connected to the internet later on in the film? Yeah, you're really showing where you're getting your money from, guys. So yeah, other than that, fairly standard. I mean, there was nothing bad about it, there was nothing sort of offensive about it, it was just kind of pedestrian, which is a shame. It kind of failed on atmosphere, which in this kind of movie, especially if you're relying on ideas that have kind of been done, you really need to build up the atmosphere, and it didn't do that very well. Sorry, I can hear people moving around in the house. It's a shared house, so yeah, the one thing it really failed on in Alter is the sound design wasn't much, and since a lot of the sort of ghost effects were fairly sort of ordinary looking, you know, it's a sort of a flicker of a couple of shots of a woman in a gown, or, you know, phasing in or something. You really need to sell that on the sound design, if you're not using a particularly exciting visual design, and kind of failed on that. You know, occasional sort of whispery sounds, but that's about it, which is a shame. I feel really bad for kind of picking apart this movie, because it's not bad as such, it's just not good either. So yeah, that's about all I have to say about Alter. Next up we will be looking at An American Haunting, which I think I've seen bits of before, but I've never watched all the way through. And but that could be interesting, because that, I believe, is about the Bell Witch hauntings in the Deep South in, I think, the 19th century. So it was a real, possibly legendary. I'll talk a bit about those when it comes to it, but yeah, that could be interesting. It could be bad, it could be good. I know the cast's pretty good, so fingers crossed again. I'll see you then for your next dose of blood, guts and pixie dust, and we'll see you then. Goodbye. Watch good horror movies, don't watch bad ones.